last time I talked to you, the schedule came out, and now the summer has just flown by. Here we are, less than a week away from the season opener, and how excited are you to get started in the broadcast and getting that first game?
I'm excited. And our first game is tremendous. We've got Deshaun Watson and the Texans going up to Kansas City to face the Super Bowl champs and Patrick Mahomes, and both defenses are going to try to slow these quarterbacks down, and I don't know how they're going to do it, but they're going to try. And it's going to be a great game. It's going to be so fascinating for me to show up at a stadium and not be able to walk onto the field. The reporters now, we have a little zone that we're confined to. And it's going to be fascinating because Kansas City is letting in about 16,000 fans. What's that going to look like? How is it going to sound? Where are they going to be sitting? How are they going to be spaced? It's all, out there with these stories to be told, which is a great opportunity for all of us doing the game.
And Arrowhead Stadium as well as anybody. That's one of, if not the loudest outdoor stadiums next to Seattle, of course. But that will be strange. I wonder, at that capacity, how many Chiefs fans will try to make up for the loss of fans.
We have noise that we can pump into our audio, the audio of our broadcast when there are no fans. But on Thursday night, when there are, it's like a third of the stadium, I think, something like that. When there are fans in Kansas City, there's no need to pipe in this noise. But the sound is still going to be so different. It can't possibly be as loud as Arrowhead normally is with just 16,000 fans in there. Yeah. So it really is almost going to feel like we're at a small college or a huge high school game. I'm trying to get my mind around what it'll be like, but I really won't know till we get there.
Well, tell us what it's going to be like for you on the sideline, because I hadn't heard what the restrictions are for you, especially on national broadcasts. What will it be for you?
Reporters are not allowed on the field. Very few people are allowed on the field. And so we have this first row of seats designated as, we call it the moat. So it sounds kind of dangerous, but I'm hoping it's not. And that's the area from which I have to work the entire game. So the things that I like to do pregame down on the field, I can't do anymore. And the halftime interviews are going to be different. Multiple ways we can conduct those. It might even be over a phone. It's going to be different. And that takes away a lot of the body language, the tone of voice, the facial expressions you normally get when you're walking off with a coach. Post-game will be different. We have to be socially distanced, and we're going to find a way to do that where technology helps us out. So just the interaction is going to be so different. I think it's going to be a little lonely.
Well, yeah, I would imagine that your job, Al and Chris in the booth is a little bit different. I mean, at least I wouldn't want to say not much has changed for them, but they will be in the stadium, right? Because some of these broadcasters are going from booths or trucks.
No, they'll be in the stadium. Yep. They'll be distanced. That'll be fun to watch how Chris slides into the picture this year. But they'll be in their spots. And for them, the game is the thing. And for me down in the stands, the game is the thing, but there's also this secondary story of playing in either an empty or a partially filled stadium.
Man. Well, what a huge challenge for you, though. I mean, I would imagine that, once you found out what where you're going to be doing your job, it was a challenge for you to start thinking of ways to make that interesting for the viewer.
When I found out, I was just glad I wasn't being told I couldn't show up at all. Initially, when I got this phone call from my executive producer, Fred Godelli, he said, okay, here's the deal. And I thought, oh no, they're going to just not let us show up. He said, you can be there. You got to be in this first row. We're calling it the moat. And I thought, okay, yeah, your mind immediately switches to what is that going to look like from my vantage point, and how am I going to make that work? And can I still do an effective job of covering things the way I normally cover them? But I always look at these obstacles as opportunities, and I'm going to make the most of it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. We talked a little bit about the Sunday night schedule, but, what game are you looking forward to most? What games look really enticing now that you've had a few months to study it?
Well, certainly the opener we're thrilled about. I'm excited to go to Los Angeles and see this SoFi Stadium. I hear it's amazing. Excited to go to Vegas and see their new place as well. Really intrigued by Tampa Bay, as everyone is, but equally intrigued by the Patriots, who are going to be in Seattle week 2. That's where we are. And what they do with Cam Newton and this totally different offense. You know, the whole storyline of can Bill Belichick win without Brady and can Brady win without Bill Belichick is fascinating. And it's got a lot of psychology to it and a lot of emotion. So those two teams have me really intrigued. Dallas is always a fun team to watch just because there are always so many storylines. Seattle, you know, is Josh Gordon going to get his suspension lifted? Where does Jadeveon Clowney wind up? New Orleans is going to be a terrific story. So there are a lot of good ones on our slate.
Well, you bring up Seattle, and I would imagine with your role, boy, you know how the 12s are here, so and there won't be any fans here for the first few games. How different will that be at CenturyLink Field for you?
Oh, there you are.
Yeah,
Can
sorry, it froze up. I don't know.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that you could hear me because you were frozen. Okay.
Yeah. And so how different will it be for you? I know you've talked about Kansas City, but you know, the 12s are renowned for the noise up here, and boy, that'll be a strange experience, or definitely different for you.
Going into Seattle with no 12s, it just doesn't seem right, does it? It just doesn't seem like we're in the real world. It feels like the Twilight Zone, honestly. That place is renowned for its fans and its noise. It is going to be the one thing that excites me about all of this is that we're living through an historic time that is going to be written about. I mean, we're all living through history every day, but this is the stuff like, you know, the Spanish flu and World War II and 9/11. And I'm not putting this in that same kind of category. I don't want to sound crass about it, but the world is standing still a little bit right now. And we're experiencing that, and we're covering a league that's having to adapt in this dramatic fashion. That is super intriguing to me. And so in a bizarre way, I'm looking forward to it. I want to see what this is going to be like.
I would imagine that, you know, Roger Goodell spoke this week, and he anticipates fans getting in the stadium as the season progresses. He thinks there'll be more and more fans up until the Super Bowl. But I have to believe that, you know, with his optimism, where do you stand in that? Do you feel like, you know, going forward, what's your opinion? Do you think that this will gradually, you will see more and more fans get into these stadiums?
You know, there are so many tentacles to this problem, because even if you do allow fans back, do you have them sign a waiver that says if you get sick at the football game, you're not going to blame the Seahawks, et cetera, et cetera. It does feel right now as though things are starting to slow down and decline a little bit. The numbers of cases, the number of hospitalizations, et cetera. That's all a good sign. But flu season is about to hit, and we really don't know what that's going to mean with this coronavirus. It's so hard to predict the future, and anyone who thinks they can is just lying, because when this whole thing started, we thought every day, okay, maybe just another couple of weeks. We were so wrong about the whole thing. The whole world was wrong. And we're just adapting, it seems like, every day. So nothing will surprise me.
Yeah, I like the idea of moving forward, though, and just managing this, not just curling up in the ball and going to the corner waiting for it to end. You have to play through it, so to speak.
Yeah. You know, when the pandemic first, I'm going to start that over so I'm not starting so much. When the pandemic first started, I thought to myself, okay, hunker down, family, we're going to be indoors for a couple of weeks. And I kind of laid around and binge watched shows. And then I realized, what am I doing? I'm being given time here. I'm being given time. What am I going to do with that time? So when we come out the other end of this, I don't feel like I just wasted however long this is going to be. So I started reading more, and I started journaling, and I started doing all these things to make my time of some value to me. And I think that everyone has had to do that. The teams have had to do that. You know, not just so, okay, we got to wait. How are we going to deal with it? Because you can only control what you can control. And the rest is up to you to go, let me make up my mind about this. How do I want to handle this? And so I think that's taught a lot of people that not very much is in your control. But what you can control, you can really make the best of.
Well, I'm originally from Michigan. I know you're in Minnesota, Big Ten country. What were your thoughts when the Big Ten canceled the fall football season, or at least postponed it? And now there's some talk that maybe they started up Thanksgiving weekend, but that had to be a big talking point for you back there.
Here in Minnesota, and I am married to a proud Golden Gopher, the cancellation of the season, or the postponement of it, was just hit everybody like, no. People, it's almost a seasonal thing. People get ready for the fall and the holidays with football as part of their life. It's like woven into their lives. So to take that away is really mean. But at the same time, are you going to put these students in harm's way? And, half of it's political, half of it's science, and you just kind of go, all right, we got to live with the decision. I think if they backtrack, that's interesting to me, because then that says, well, were you solid in your decision in the first place? I mean, if you have really thought through every scenario and you were firm in your decision, why would you change your mind? So that's a really interesting story, but it shows you how much pressure the Big Ten is getting from parents and coaches and players in the world.
Yeah. I mean, and I saw some stuff where the guys at the conferences that are playing, they're not too keen on waiting for these other schools and conferences to catch up to their schedule, and they wait for a playoff to start. So, but I agree with you. You've made your decision, stick with it. Because I've talked to a lot of pro athletes, and they're like, it's completely unfair to ask a college football player to play 2 seasons in 1 calendar year. So the talk of spring football is really kind of out there too.
And how about in places like Michigan and Minnesota? Really? In March? Seriously? Where?
Well, you guys you have that beautiful new Vikings stadium and
well, that's true.
Field, so that's the only way they can do it, I would think.
Have these NFL, have their own little bubbles in Minnesota and in Detroit, and just rotate the teams through. I don't know. All
right, I know we're gonna wrap this up here, but you've had this whole summer. You've talked about journaling and doing some other things. Was there a show or a television series that you were watching that you were binge watching? Anything that just stood out in this huge break?
Yellowstone, baby. Yellowstone. Have you watched it?
No, I've heard all about it, though.
Holy cow. I had heard good things about Yellowstone. I hadn't been a big Kevin Costner fan, but I am now. This show is unbelievable. And my husband and I, we went through the first 2 seasons so fast. Then the 3rd season happened, and it just went by too fast, and now we're dying for the next one. I think Yellowstone was probably the highlight. We've gotten into a few, Succession, Bosch, a couple others, but Yellowstone for us has been the one that's really been the most gratifying.
Yeah. Well, I imagine you've been able to spend some time with your husband, maybe go out to eat since the last time we talked. And I know that you wanted to get at least to the hair salon and make sure the hair color was right. And that was the one thing you were missing, was you needed to have some kind of Michele day. Did you get your beauty day?
Oh, yeah, and ours are legally open. So, I was allowed to go into the salon with my mask. And so, yes, I've gotten plenty of that. Fortunately, here in my hometown of Minneapolis, some things are open. But as you know, here, too, in Minnesota, we've had some tough days, some tough rioting downtown and that kind of thing. So it's been a really strange, interesting, compelling, intriguing, troubling, alarming year so far.
Yeah, it sure has. 2020 has been a huge challenge. But, with the NFL season starting and Sunday Night Football coming back, at least there's something where fans really do need that escape. And they have been counting on the NFL for staying on track. And at least that's going to happen and give some of this population an escape.
And it's a big part of the population, and it may even grow because it might be the only game in town for a little while. I can't tell you, every time I go to the store or get on a phone call or text with a friend, they're asking, are you guys going back to work? Is it really going to start? Is the NFL season really going to start? They're desperate for the NFL, and so we hope to deliver a full season. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, everybody's pulling for it for sure. Well, thank you for your time, Michelle. Really appreciate it. I'll be
You got it.
Well, I'll be watching to see how you handle your moat, and I hope it goes well for you.
I hope so too. I'm just wondering if there, are there crocodiles in this moat? Do I need, some sort of weaponry?
Okay. It would make it interesting for us watching you.
That's a good point. Gosh, that'd be great television, wouldn't it?
All right,
my
thanks,
gosh.
Michelle.
You got it. Thank you.